All right, thank you for staying with us. Days after the United States and the United Kingdom embassies in Nigeria issued security alerts of impending terror attacks in Abuja, more foreign missions are now doing same. The embassies of Denmark, Ireland, Bulgaria, Finland and Germany in Abuja have raised similar advisories. Though the federal government, through the Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, condemned the US and UK advisories, insisting that Nigeria, including the capital, Abuja, is safe. The US and the UK have begun evacuating their non-essential staff and families. Denmark also advised its citizens to avoid non-essential travel to Nigeria as the possibility of terrorist attacks is very high. The embassies say places the terrorists might target include government buildings, shopping malls, hotels, bars, large gatherings, international organizations, transport facilities, schools, markets, places of worship, and law enforcement institutions. Meanwhile, more security operatives have been deployed to strategic parts of Abuja on patrol. But joining us now via Zoom is a former Assistant Director of the Department of State Services, Dennis Amakri. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Good morning, thank you.
Now, in a world where security is said to have become a shared responsibility, what sense do you get with regards to the tone and execution of recent warnings from the US and the UK?
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's one that right now, if you check the thermometer of Nigerians, especially in the Federal Capital Territory, a lot of people are hypered and the tension is very, very high. And many people feel that, why should even the United States put out such an alert? But again, we are missing the point where this alert is not for Nigerians. It's for their own nationals, and you can see that other embassies, about 8 or 9 of them, have gone ahead to also warn their citizens who are in Nigeria. So what we should be focusing ourselves now is to look at the threat itself. Let's forget the messenger and then look at the message itself. Not forgetting that this particular message has been given to Nigerians some 2 weeks ago by the DSS. So I think we should concentrate and think more about averting whatever threat that this particular alert has called for.
Now, you said that the threat alert is for the US and not for Nigerians. I wonder how we'll separate that from the situation or dealing with the situation at hand.
Well, a lot of people, maybe that information leaked out, and maybe, there are some Nigerians who are US citizens, and they're here, and when they received it, they must have discussed with their other brothers and sisters who are taking it out to say, US is already asking its citizens not to come to Nigeria, or, to be very, very careful that there is going to be some security problems in the Federal Capital Territory. So, of course, it can leak out, but they are called worded messages. The worded messages are the messages that are released even by the Nigerian embassy overseas will be doing things like this, telling their own citizens that if they see that there is going to be a problem or there's going to be violence, they use those worded messages to warn their nationals who are in that foreign country. And I think that was what happened.
Do you think that it is necessary for us to understand the mechanics or the process of issuing out alerts like this in a foreign country? Do they have to just announce it? Do they have to bring the host countries' intelligence agencies informed about what they are trying to announce? Or is there a protocol about how this thing is done?
Okay, it is not a situation like I can tell you, check all the media houses in Nigeria. You are not going to see any newspaper where there was a message from the United States Embassy or consulate, telling people that, or telling Nigerians that they should not, they should be very careful. This message was designed as an internal message for US citizens in Nigeria, and it was not for public consumption. But that being said, we should also know that the embassies, because they are friendly embassies, if you are not a friendly embassy, you will not be in Nigeria. So the embassies that are in Nigeria, especially the United States Embassy, work with the Nigerian security intelligence community. So they exchange information. And I can tell you, although I am not very privy to what must have happened between like the DSS and the American embassy, but you find out that when the DSS brought out this particular alert some 2 weeks ago, I'm very sure that we must have had the embassy reach out to them or liaise with them through their normal channels of where they liaise, and then talk about this particular issue. So it is not one that you just go to the newspaper and announce. It's a diplomatic message that is sent to their own citizens.
Do you think that this protocol has now been outdated by digital world? Because there's no way you will say that you want to pass information like this to your own citizens and not expect that it will leak out into the public domain. Do you think that there is need for some kind of clarity or updating of the process of issuing out information like this? Because you can't say you are sending it to private citizens. How do you do that? How do you communicate with the Nigerian, the Nigerian who is a U.S. citizen who lives in Mushin and has no direct contact with the embassy? How will the Nigerian know if not by some kind of public communication?
You are not going to use public communication because the information is not designed for public communication. You are going to send it either through your phone. Right now, everybody, you can get worded messages on your phone or on your laptop, But what I'm saying is that it is different from broadcasting it in public. And of course, it's not outdated because it is being used. This is not the first time. I remember when I was working with private companies, multinational companies always do it. I remember the last time when, in 2014, when the tension was very, very high, some of the companies sent away their non-essential workers. Non-essential workers will go out, families will go out, and they will just remain only those people that are very essential and working in the country. And this is designed to meet a particular situation. If there is any problem in any country, it is the duty of care of any company to evacuate its personnel, not just embassies, but multinational companies are also required to, evacuate their personnel out of that country. So it is a message that usually comes out weekly or monthly, and everybody is aware, and because it is not always that there is going to be a threat. There are stages to this particular message. And the stages are simple. First one is the message, the alert. Everybody to be aware If the situation deteriorates, then the next thing is for them to say voluntary evacuation. You can decide to go. If you're a worker in, say, for instance, World Bank, or you are working with ExxonMobil, they will tell you that you are free to go out of the country because of the trend that we are foreseeing. And you can do that. If this condition continue to deteriorate and gets into violence, and then they get to the stage which is called mandatory evacuation. And during mandatory evacuation, some companies or some embassies will bring a plane to evacuate all their citizens. So it is not something to slight another country or to panic another country, but a duty of care to their own employees or to their own citizens. Okay, thank you very much. The message, people are panicking because the message was wrongly handled. It was wrongly handled. When it came out, the Minister for Information should have consulted with the security agencies, but he went ahead to make announcements, castigating the other country. And when they castigate the other country, with the present situation that we have in the country, where kidnapping and bombs and all, although recently everything has really come down, but when they hear this from a very senior cabinet official, then people will start to worry. And again, when it is the United States, many people believe, and of course, for real, they don't just come and start giving you some kind of fake news on social media. Because when they hear things like this, they also have their intelligence officers who will go and investigate. And I'm very, very sure the Nigerian community, intelligence community, are working with those, diplomatic community too. Because right now you can see that all the different embassies are also giving the same messages to their people. That means there is some kind of level of credibility in that message. And what we would have done, because the original or the fundamental objective of alerts is for awareness, is to make people to be aware. Be very, very careful. Something like this could happen. So you are situationally aware. In fact, the other day, the former foreign minister for Nigeria, Professor Bolaji, was even mentioning it because he's very familiar with this. They do it in foreign countries. And he was even advising that people should stop gathering in large numbers. Because what do the terrorists want? They want to create disaster. They want to kill people. And when they go to the city and they find other people just relaxing, drinking, or whatever, they could. Or attack churches. So anywhere there are many people, it will happen. So it is very, very important that we take the message seriously instead of misunderstanding it. And then, of course, people will go into panic mode.
All right, Dennis, the Inspector General of Police has said that the security alert is not true. And he has called on Nigerians to go about their normal business. Like you said, we should be very careful about this. But when alerts like this happen, talk to us from the insider, from maybe part of your experience. How does the DSS and maybe even the police, how do they proceed when a piece of information like this is out there, whether it was directed at them or it was sent to them or information was shared with them or not from the embassies? How does the security agents proceed, or what extra do they do to ensure that something untoward doesn't happen?
Mike, is the other way around. The message originally is from the DSS. and you can check. The original message is from the DSS. Check about two weeks ago or something like that, when this message came out. And of course, the spokesman of the DSS had gone ahead to tell people to be very, very careful because there might be some terrorist activities in the Federal Capital Territory, you know. But coming back to your question, how do you manage it? I think they are in touch, like I said, because they will be talking to each other. If the DSS brought out that message, apparently all the embassies are also watching, because what the DSS brought out was not for Nigerians alone. It was for everybody in Nigeria. And then they must have made their liaison and then find out what is going on. And then, of course, go ahead with their own investigation. Like I said, most of them that you see in those embassies are intelligence officers, you know, and they will do their own investigation. And sometimes some of this information could even come outside Nigeria, because some of the things that you hear about attacks, if you remember very well, there was AFRICOM, the African Command of the US Army. You know, the information they got all the way from Geneva about an attack that is going to happen in Nigeria, you know, is something that we should think about, the widespread reach of these embassies.
This is
About the
about
police, Inspector General of Police, I don't think he said that the information was fake, because he already put his people on alert and said that they are going to be on top of it. Because, well, the public officers are supposed to calm down the society, you know, not to aggravate the situation where everybody starts to panic.
well, what you get from all of this is that there's actually a communication problem. The Nigerian part of it came up with its own advisory some time ago about Abuja. The US and the UK, when they came with their own advisory, even to their own citizens, it looked like it was a fresh one. And the public thought it was a fresh one, and they reacted as such. And rather than the DSS to say that we are already aware and that we have communicated with the United States embassy, they made it look like, okay, they have come up with the alert, but there's no cause for alarm. There's a disconnect. And that is where even the statement by the Minister of Information also came in, when he said that they shouldn't have come up with that kind of alert, even if it was meant for their own citizens. It's all clear that even the digital age, if you send it to my phone, I can send it to another person's phone. There's nothing like sending it to your own citizens anymore. It doesn't exist anymore. Digitization has overtaken all of that. And so what we see here is that there's communication problem, and it looks like neither the US, nor the Nigerian communication, or the DSS, and even our Minister of Information know how to manage information about terror, that even the management itself of the information is an act of terror.
Yeah, there is no disconnect in the management of information, because I remember very well when this particular alert came out publicly from the United States consulate, you know, the DSS came out again and said that, you know, we are on top of it, everybody should calm down, go about your normal business, you know, because let me state this. Some of this security information are not discharged the way you think they go. They are not, you know, disseminated the way that we usually disseminate information. You know, they have their own channels, they have their own way of doing it, you know. But the important part of it is that if they're on top of it, I can tell you they're on top of it, because if they are making arrests already, then they know, you know, what is happening. So What we have to tell the public is that they should calm down instead of people aggravating the whole thing. Some people have taken it personal. Some people have started abusing the United States and stuff like that. But that is not, the direction that it should go. Let's forget the messenger and then deal with the message that we have on hand. And that is to make sure that if we see something, we say something, and then, of course, make sure that terrorist activity is brought to the barest minimum.
In the case of terror, is the messenger not as important as the message?
There's a distinction between you are a communicator. You
Okay,
should know that there's a difference between
we have to
messenger.
go now. We have to go now. We do not have time, but we must thank you, former
Thank you.
Assistant Director of the DSS, Dennis Amakre, for your time on the program.
Thank you very much.